right?
Hmm.
Men have the luxury of not having to fucking worry about that, about someone putting anything near your dick for birth
I
control.
mean, they're coming up with things that are like sperm blocks that you can put inside that vein that will block the sperm for a certain amount of time. And I mean that's interesting that they're testing that out. It's like a gel that they insert in that vein so the sperm can't come out, but it'll still feel like you are ejaculating.
Mhm.
Um, so I don't know. I feel like that would cause some problems though, like some
Yeah,
backage, some blockage issues. But they are testing stuff where they will be, maybe someday we will have male birth control that isn't just a vasectomy. Uh,
I know that they were working on it like a couple number of years ago, but they had to stop. They had to stop because men were getting too emotional.
oh,
Yeah, they
like
were
I
getting the exact same side effects women get
yeah,
from birth
I
control.
feel like they were like the
Ah!
pill or something for men.
Ah.
But the thing with that is men, okay, because men are in society are allowed to be angry. Okay. And an emotional man is not a man I want in society, okay? Right?
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
don't
Yeah.
want an angry men on birth control running around, okay? They're gonna kill us. They're gonna fucking kill us.
I
No,
mean,
thank
you never. They might do what they did up until I think the 1990s. PMS was alongside things like mentally incompetence. You could be excused from a murder because of PMS. There was literally a court
Really?
case in the 1980s in England that a woman was found not guilty but by not any reason of her own fault because of PMS. She was on her period or something, and they excused her because of it, which is huge. That was a thing, and now I know PMDD is in there now, not PMS, which PMDD is a beast all of its own.
you. What is it?
Premenstrual dysphoric disorder, which is PMS on steroids.
Okay.
But yeah,
I mean, people
um,
still confuse PMS though. They'll still think that PMS is like on your period. No, it's before your
yeah.
period.
Um, Lady Luck said that they're supposed to do ultrasounds to check the position of an IUD. They do, but they only do it if you complain about pain or if you say something is wrong. They do not check it regularly if you don't complain about it. If you have no complaints and you think
Oh.
it's working fine, they will not check it. Um, and like the reason they checked mine is after a year, I was like, all right, I'm having like stabbing pain. Like I feel like I'm being stabbed
Yeah.
constantly. And they're like, oh, let's do an ultrasound. And they look and they're like, oh, your IUD is backwards. Like it
Oh
flipped
my
itself.
god.
Like how does it
See,
flip itself?
honestly, man, here's the thing. Like, that's why, like, fuck birth control because it's just like the medical community in general doesn't give a fuck about women. Like, why would I wanna have something put in my body from someone in the medical community? I had to I'm gonna
Oh,
go back to, my personal experience of being diagnosed or self-diagnosing with endometriosis. My doctor didn't give a fuck about me. She just kept saying, and it was a she. That's why I also get pissed off when, oh, we need more women in the medical field. My doctor who didn't diagnose me was a woman. It's not the fact that we need more women. It's just
yeah, I know. Some women still
automate automate doctors. Okay, get rid of them. Automate doctors. Throw
um
out people.
and if you want to talk about the history of intrauterine implants, back in 1909, the first IUD was made out of silkworm guts and a silver ring. And they found that the silver ring was being embedded into the uterus because it was something about the metal is not like copper. So, like, copper repels sperm and it doesn't get like absorbed into your tissue. Something about silver, it does. Um, and they were having a lot of issues where they would have to essentially perform hysterectomies on women because they were making these IUDs with silver and they were essentially malfunctioning in a way that was very bad. But can you imagine silkworm guts being stuck up into your uterus? Silkworm guts. I don't know
No,
what
thank you. No,
like
thanks. No,
wow.
thank you. I'm good, thanks. Thanks.
Yeah, but
No, thanks.
see, the first IUD was made out of silkworm guts and introduced, further developing throughout the 1920s in Europe. In the United States, the banning surrounding safe sex information, also contraceptions, made it dangerous for doctors and other advocates to use these types of birth control methods. So you're talking about other places in the world like Europe and Asia and all sorts of places being like, yeah, birth control, it's great. And then the United States was like, no, because like they had like the Comstock Act in the 1840s, which prohibited contraception and outlawed abortion. So before the 1840s, birth control, abortions, things like that were completely okay. We had the event in history called the Quickening, which described when a woman could feel the baby being moved, that's when you weren't allowed to have an abortion. So once the baby started moving and you could feel it, you weren't allowed to have an abortion. But anything after that is free. It's free game.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow we, like, I don't know what changed, and at least in the United States, that made it so we weren't allowed to do that anymore. I don't fucking know. Probably just some Christian bullshit. But
Kez keeps mentioning the Delkin Shield.
The Delkin Shield. What is the Delkin
Did
Shield?
you guys look that one up?
No. Is it like a
earlier.
diaphragm?
Look it up.
Look it up. It's a barrier method type birth control, but it looks like it has actual spikes to like dig into the vagina, so it like stays put. But it's like absolutely terrifying. It looks like a fucking torture device.
Yeah.
Oh God. That's like
the Delkin Shield was a contra.
That sounds like something you would use to, like, people would make up to use prevent raping. Like the devices people say will prevent rapes, like you just stick something up in your vagina with like spikes or teeth. And
the Delkin Shield was a contraceptive intrauterine device developed by the Delkin Corporation and marketed. It was found to cause severe injury to a disproportionately large percentage of its users, which eventually led to numerous losses. Go take a look at it, Remy.
Oh God.
This is fucking horrifying.
It
Millions of dollars
scary.
in compensatory and punitive damages.
Yeah. Oh, so it was. So it's not barrier method. It's IUD. Sorry, I was wrong about that.
This thing. I have seen this thing. I definitely have. This. What is this made out of? Plastic?
It was the largest liability case since asbestos.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I've definitely seen this before. Which that obviously looks like it looks like an alien. Things that look like aliens you don't put in your body.
Just saying, into that
sort of women had received the Delkin intrauterine device.
Thank you, Kez. But yeah, that's a frightening device.
A vaginal death crab. That's the perfect description.
What about the IUD Ensure? There were spring coils that you put in your fallopian tubes that eventually splintered into little pieces of metal and broke off into your uterus and fallopian tubes. It caused so much pain that like they took it off the market, and two, God damn it, and two, like it caused a lot of people to have to get like their tubes removed, their hysterectomies, caused long-term damage. Sometimes you couldn't even get all the pieces out.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah. And I mean that was relatively recent. That was like in I want to say like the 70s and 80s and 90s. That's not like even that far away.
Yeah, honestly, like, and what, made by men? All made by men?
Probably.
I have no idea.
So apparently, it caused 4 fatalities. There was no
I mean,
septic abortions.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, a woman called Margaret Sanger popularized the birth control pill, but I don't know who the pill was made by.
Yeah.
She was the first person to open a birth control clinic in the 1960s, and it was shut down 9 days later because of said Comstock Act that outlawed this. So, this woman was trying to help women and eventually got shut down because of it. And then you have in the 1950s Planned Parenthood trying to give the pill to everybody but it wasn't like, even back then you weren't allowed to have the pill unless you were a married woman. Like, and getting the pill was incredibly difficult. You had to have permission from your husband, you had to have permission from your doctor, like
Mm-hmm.
mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Yeah. It's oh my god. Please, husband, give me birth control.
Well, you're talking about like back, like from like the 1800s into the early 1900s. It was normal for a woman to have anywhere from 5 to 10 children, and it was immoral to not have children if you were having sex,
Mhm.
and the woman's place bullshit.
Mhm.
And if you were taking the pill, it was an act against God. Like,
I love how thinking back then, like a progressive husband would be one that says, "Yes, honey, you can take the pill."
yeah.
Right?
And I feel like those things didn't
So
really happen
progressive.
until the 70s, when we had like second wave feminism and women's rights acts, activism,
Yeah.
and shit like that. And
Yeah.
it it
Oh.
wasn't really until like the 70s and 80s when we were more progressive as just partners.
Yeah.
You couldn't, like, in the fact that you couldn't get the pill until like regular women couldn't get the pill until the late 70s. Like, how many people, like, and like even abortions were like outlawed in the 70s, and you had back alley abortions that killed so many women.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Tara, you haven't said much.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I don't really have much to add to this part. I don't. When it came to like birth control methods, like it's like
Well,
all I really know is about the dog.
we can open up the floor to whatever we want to talk about at this point.
I don't do birth control either anymore. Like, I stopped in my early 20s. I was just like, this shit fucking sucks.
I got my tubes tied. I said, I have one child. The doctor said that it would be unhealthy for me to have any more. So I tried the IUD for a while, and then that didn't work. And I was like, fuck it. Just take my tubes. I don't need them anymore. Which I was told that you can actually still get pregnant with your tubes removed. It's very, very rare. But since you still have your ovaries, you can it's still and you still have your period, you can still get pregnant. So it's not it's not 100%.
Yeah.
But I don't have to worry about that. I'm a one ovary tubeless lady. I highly doubt I'm gonna get pregnant.
That's funny.
But we'll just open up to whatever we want to talk about, because there's so much. Why?
There is. It's a really big topic, and I was like, I don't even know where to start when I started researching. What I did know a lot about, I touched on a lot, is the Morgentaler case. Henry Morgentaler was the guy basically responsible for allowing abortion to happen in Canada. He was a gynecologist, or I forget his actual designation, but he was a doctor that was performing abortions and was literally fighting with the federal government to allow him to keep performing these abortions. And it's because of him that we currently have abortions legal in Canada, similar to the Roe v. Wade that you guys have in the States.
Yes, which is an under threat at the moment. Like, because of the Supreme Court justices now being more Republican side than the Democratic side, Roe v. Wade is definitely under attack, which is scary. Not just for myself, but for other women. I know personally, I've had 2 abortions. One of them was by choice, and the other one was medical. And without that medical abortion, without that ability to choose, because I could have choose not to, I could have given birth to a dead baby, but instead I was like, no, just take it out and we'll be done with it. I don't want to be traumatized any further. Without those things, you have women that are going to die in pregnancy. You have women that are going to be traumatized because of their they were raped, or because, you know, like I said, having to give birth to a stillborn baby is incredibly traumatizing, because
Mhm.
your body's expecting to have this live human being come out of you, and it's not there.
It's just
And
torturing women. It's
yeah,
just torturing
Mm.
women. It's just big. Ugh.
Lady Lilac said you also had to, if you hadn't had kids, good luck on getting a doctor to sign off on getting your tubes tied. You're right. Even now, because I was 29 when I got my tubes tied, and I had to sign a waiver, wait 30 days, and after those 30 days, if I still wanted my tubes tied, I could get it. But you have to go through this process of waiting. And fuck,
Is it
within those
just
30 days, I could have gotten pregnant. Like, what?
yeah.
Mhm.
I think it's just a cautionary measure so you don't back out, because I think they do the same thing for like because I think it's not to make sure that you get pregnant again. I think it's like
Oh,
solidify your decision.
I understand. Being a young woman and saying I don't want to have children, please remove my parts, is alarming to some people. But I'm just gonna say some women don't want kids, and
For
that's
sure,
totally
for
fucking
sure.
okay. And
But women, you can as long as you're alive, you can change your mind. Is what I've learned in my
mhm.
life. You can always
Mhm.
change your mind. That's
and
why they give you 30 days.
and I'm not gonna say it's impossible to get pregnant after your tubes are tied, because we have in vitro, and
Yeah.
all sorts of stuff. You still have a uterus, which is literally
Right.
the part you
Right.
need.
Yeah.
So you can still have kids and have your tubes tied. It's just gonna be harder, more expensive. And I understand that. You can also, like when I got my tubes tied, they offered to freeze some of my eggs and my partner's sperm in case I wanted children later, which also is expensive, and I don't know why they charge you for that. It should be free. But like, you have options. It's just they make it so difficult, and they make you feel like you have to like really be sure. And I get that, but I feel like pressuring a woman to wait on her decision, which I don't think any woman takes getting their tubes tied lightly. Like when they go to say, "Hey, I
For
want my
sure.
tubes tied," they've probably been thinking about it for a while.
It's just medical. I think it's just like so they don't get in trouble.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, you don't get that kind of waiting period for a nose job or a boob job. So why is it any
You
different with a
definitely should,
uterus?
though.
Like
You
what?
definitely should. I should.
Dude, the
Maybe you should
pain,
think on that nose job
dude,
there.
the pain involved in boob jobs and nose jobs, like that alone, you should think about. Do you know how hard it is, like how much pain it causes to these tatas if you get them bigger? You're stretching
I think
skin that hasn't been stretched that way. It's painful as fuck, and especially if it's botched and done wrong, like you got oozy boobies.
That's why I never like. God damn it.
I like my
Ugh.
my itty bitty titties so
Mhm.
much.
Mhm. Same.
um
Why don't you have a waiting period for plastic? Isn't the regret higher for those? Well, you know what? I think
Yeah.
it's because it's seen as I don't know.
you know
It's more of a private industry than a public industry, so there's less regulation probably.
what I'd love to
That's probably a
see
good point.
is family planning and birth control being something men have to think about too, because you think about it. I don't know in your guys' experience, but my experience, guys always ask me, am I on the pill? Do I have a condom?
Yeah.
Like, why don't you have a
Yeah.
condom? Why don't you get a
The
vasectomy?
men are
They're
actually supposed to have the ones be
reversible.
the ones who have the condoms. The men are the ones supposed to have the fucking condoms. I bring the birth control, you bring the condoms, you bitch.
And like
Yeah.
obviously,
Yeah.
vasectomies are reversible.
Yeah.
Right?
Vasectomies have less
Little snip.
damage to them. Vasectomies are reversible. Vasectomies are more should be more popular than a woman getting their tubes tied.
And I won't go to say as we should make all men line up and get vasectomies by the time they're 13.
I am. I am. I'll
Tina's
be the
going
one
there.
to say it. Okay.
But I mean, it's something to think about if you are a young gentleman of age and want to be forward thinking with your pregnancy prevention, because it isn't on just the woman. It takes two to tango, and your tango, you have a few steps to learn. carry condoms and not in your wallet. Because that's just bad. Don't put them in your wallet, please. They wore out. They keep them in a drawer. Keep them in like a little box. You know, if you're going to a young lady's house, bring condoms with you, but don't put them in your wallet. Put them in a backpack, you know? Keep them away from sharp objects. Yeah. And like I honestly think birth control and abortion are hand in hand. Abortion is a form of birth control.
Yes. Agreed.
And
I agree with you. It is a little bit more painful though.
It is. It depends. Well, it depends on what method you go through. Now they have the birth control pill that you can have and take up until 8 weeks, which literally is like having a really bad period. And it works most of the time. There are some cases that it doesn't work. And
the day after pill should be free. The day after pill should be fucking
yes.
free.
Oh, it should be.
I mean,
not like fucking $40.
I was lucky enough to have a doctor that would give me a script, and my insurance would pay for this script, so I would have, you know, 2 pills on my dresser, you know, if I needed them. But I think it should be like that for all women. I think you should be able to go to your doctor and say, "I want this."
That person? Are you Ben? Can you ban that person, Tara?
Ben? Yeah, we're talking about an echo chamber? Like, what the fuck? We're talking about periods. He's like, you need more people in your echo chamber. Like, dude, what the fuck?
You missed it. The first hour, we had a dude on here.
We need someone to say the periods are fake immediately.
Periods are fake news. Fake news.
They're just an excuse for women to be bitches.
This is why men are bitches. Men and boys are bitches.
Hey, did you hear that Jewish men get their periods too?
Did not know that. Surprise, surprise.
I had to explain this. Actually, I want to explain this little. Where is it? I have so many documents open. I just want to find the period myth one.
Before we get off the abortion thing, the vasectomy, we were on that. I forgot to mention. Recently, they've been doing work on a little switch for men, and it's like underneath the ball sack, and it'll stop the sperm from going through the tube. Yeah. Now I don't know how far they've gotten on it.
I've heard about that because it goes hand in hand with the microchip birth control for women, where you can turn your birth control on and off through like an app on your phone that they've been trying to work on. Now, God forbid you have a vindictive ex that hacks into your microchip and makes you pregnant. But those two things are in the works. Where I feel like the switch shouldn't stop sperm from coming through. It should stop the production of sperm.
Holy shit, Homelander! Don't say shit like that. Women are terrifying on their periods. No offense. Come on, dude.
Not all women are. Some women have are wonderful on their period, and you never know. My mom wasn't a bitch on her period ever. I've never known when my mom was on her period. She was a very pleasant lady.
What is going through? Like, it's horrible. It's horrible.
Let me see you bleed for 7 days and not die, and then, be not a bitch about it.
You're not going to be in a good mood.
There are things you can do to make women more comfortable, which you probably don't do. The women around you. Like, that's why I'm terrible, because you're literally dying in a sense. You're not... I don't know if we're dying. How much blood? I mean, some of us lose a lot of blood.
Yeah, like someone with me who has anemia. When I have heavy periods, my anemia and my periods play a huge role in how I feel. And if I'm losing a lot of blood, and that means like I'm gonna be more dizzy, more like susceptible to fainting. I'm gonna be very tired. Like it's going to feel like I'm slowly dying. Yes, in a sense. Like I stand up and I want to fall down. I'm dizzy all the time. Like I have to eat a certain diet just so I don't fucking feel that way. I have to take over 400 milligrams of iron in one day just so I don't feel like that. And sometimes it doesn't even work. So while it might feel like I'm exaggerating and saying I'm slowly dying, it feels like shit. I feel like garbage. Like sometimes I run fevers on my fucking period. It's terrible. Like, yes, it sucks. Now, are we dying? No. Do we exaggerate it? Maybe a little. But I still challenge. Let me figure out a way for you to bleed from your dick for 7 days and tell me you don't want to die.
It's and for me, it's like I get so like I get so sad. Like I just me crying for like 2 days because I'm in pain.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I'm just like
I feel that.
I'm more agitated than normal. It's like because not only am I hormonal, but I'm hormonal and in pain. So
Yeah.
it's like a whopper each time I get my period. It's just like
Yeah.
like
And I mean, you're talking about things that also can happen during your period. Like if you ovulate and you sometimes women release more than one egg. And that second egg can turn into a cyst that doesn't resolve itself, and you've got a cyst sitting like in your like uterus or on your fallopian tube, and that shit hurts.
That's what endometriosis is. It cysts on my ovaries. That's why it's so painful. And also like something that always makes me wonder, like, what is the life cycle of a woman with endometriosis? How, like, there's not
a lot out there.
There's not. Like, is my life shortened because it affects my nervous system that much? And we know that if your nervous system is always stressed or constantly stressed, it can shorten your life. But does that also mean that women with endometriosis, we die at like 50 or something? Like,
just living in constant pain can shorten your life. Like,
yeah.
Like I deal with a chronic pain issue. I have lupus, and then on top of that, I have a period that makes me want to fucking kill people because I'm in so much pain. Like, I feel you, Tina, on your, like, I don't know what I have. They refuse to diagnose me with anything. They just keep telling me it's my period. I refuse to believe that.
You might have what I have.
I also might have polycystic ovary, whatever. But who knows?
I had to diagnose myself, Remy. I literally had to diagnose. If that makes you feel any better.
I've suggested endometriosis. I have suggested polycystic ovary disease to multiple gynecologists because I have been to at least like 10 different gynecologists in the last 5 years, and they're like, well, with your history of like cancer and surgeries, and because I've had 35 of my cervix removed because of cancer, so I'm missing parts of my cervix, and things like that. They're like, just don't use tampons. That's the reason you're having so much pain. I stopped using tampons, still in pain. Like, no, like it like I feel you, like when you don't want to get out of bed and you're in so much fucking pain. Like I've been to the ER before and they're like, no, you're fine. Or they refuse to treat me because I smoke weed. And that is stupid.
That's stupid, yeah.
And like looking at the history of women with endometriosis, because I did want to get into this a little bit. It was first discovered in 1860, but there's theories that it's been around for 2,500 years, which then gets rid of the idea that it's an environmental thing,
Right.
from environmental toxins. But historically, women with these symptoms were treated with leeches, straitjackets, bloodletting, chemical douches, genital mutilation, pregnancy, as we talked about, hanging upside down, surgical intervention, and even killing due to suspicion of demonic possession. So we were witches. Essentially.
Yeah, we were witches.
And like I told you, like my doctor told me, oh, just get a hysterectomy, it'll fix your problems. No.
Yeah.
Or be pregnant, you won't have a period, it'll fix your problem. No.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Oh, and this is really interesting. The historical diagnosis of hysteria, which was thought to be a psychological disease, may have been endometriosis.
Oh,
really?
Speaking of hysteria and treatments of hysteria, we got the vibrator from a man that was treating hysteria in women with orgasms.
Yeah.
That is where the vibrator comes from. From a man that thinks that women are crazy and how we fix them is giving them orgasms, which there's a specific word they use that wasn't orgasms, but I'm going to look it up really quick, but it is ridiculous. Like how the fuck does sexually assaulting me with a fucking utensil help my hysteria?
Well, I mean, to be fair, women didn't really come back in the day.
It was. Well, I mean,
really were.
I mean, we don't know. There might be some women that did.
For sure, but I'm talking about like the